Welcome, those that are here and those that are connecting online. So let's settle into our evening with our meditation. So we're establishing a comfortable sitting position, aligning our body with some degree of symmetry, balance, and poise, and mindfully arriving mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually into the present moment. Coming back to being, just here, just now, just knowing. Giving our brain mind a break from the busyness, the activities of the day, the comings and goings and doings. A break from engaging through the various roles that we have. Appreciating that roles come with responsibilities, obligations, duty, stress, and thinking. So even giving the mind permission to not be caught up in thoughts about what has been, thoughts about what might be, allowing the possibility of a calm, objective, receptive, attentive knowing, being and knowing, rather than doing and thinking. Coming back to presence, enabling this fundamental nature, true nature of the mind as inner presence and peace to become more manifest, more known. And before bringing our awareness to our breath, our reference point for the present, the here now, just relaxing awareness into our body, breathing out stress, tension, feeling into our body, sensing and feeling this fundamental experience of our body simply sitting, being aware, noticing the sensation of our feet connecting with the floor, feeling our body connecting with the chair, cushion, feeling the placement of our hands and fingers resting in our lap, bringing awareness up to our shoulders and feeling into our shoulders, a place where stress tension often collects, relaxing the shoulder area without disturbing the uprightness of our back. Feeling down into the chest area, relaxing the chest area so we can breathe freely. Feeling down into the abdomen belly area, relaxing that area so our diaphragm can extend fully. And just allowing the body to breathe itself. No need for forcing, controlling, just allowing the body to breathe itself. Noticing and feeling the gentle rising up with the in-breath, relaxing down with the out-breath. That perennial process, breathing, this ebb and flow, rising, relaxing, rising, relaxing. Maybe also feeling the air connecting with our face. And also perceiving some degree of light coming in through the closed eyelids. And looking into that lightness, brightness, blankness through the closed eyelids. A forward focused gaze into the space in front, through the closed eyelids, into that lightness, brightness, or blankness. And not being distracted or disturbed by background sounds if we hear any, particularly also the internal mental sight or sounds of thoughts, not engaging into thinking. But rather now bringing our awareness to the breath, wherever we feel it the most, maybe at the nose nostril area. Just to notice the feeling of the in-breath, the feeling sensation of the out-breath. Giving our mind this simple activity to notice and feel each breath in each present moment. Practicing being present, feeling the breath, looking into the lightness, brightness through the closed eyelids, using one or two mental words as a mantra in the mind if it's helpful with each in-out breath, such as calm on the in-breath, ease on the out-breath. Settling into this present moment, moment to moment, being and knowing. Please help yourself to some tea and biscuits. Last week, we reflected upon the importance of questions, asking questions, questions that allow understanding, helping to clarify through the answers, and also helping to create a movement forward through understanding to greater possibilities, potentials. So that one question which we looked at was, why do we meditate? What are some of the reasons that we practice meditation? But whilst we did reflect upon some of those answers, one of the answers which I maybe did mention that we can look further into is we practice meditation to enhance the quality of our being. The quality of our being, even the quality of our beingness. So it becomes important to get a sense of what we might mean by that, particularly in terms of being. We certainly use the word being often in relationship to doing. Sometimes we use those two words, being and doing, interchangeably for certain things. And even where there can be a flow on from our being into our doing. I often talk to clients about that stress happens when our doing doesn't align with our being. We might be being a certain way and we have to do certain things that don't align with our being, our beingness, in terms of what's important for us. But in terms of word usage, we might say, I am being kind, and then we might say, I'm doing kindness, I'm being mindful, I'm doing mindfulness, I'm being well, I'm doing well. So it's sort of a flow on there, but there's probably some words that we can't use for both. I'm being wise, I'm doing wisdom. Doesn't quite make sense. In terms of doing is an activity. It involves more action, even at the point where some people say, I can't just be, I've got to always do. I'm a doing person. I can't stop. I can't settle. And for those people, probably really important to practice meditation, coming back to being here, being now, being aware, being present, being calm, being at ease, being focused and collected. And even though there's an activity involved in that, it's more of a groundedness in the beingness of that, which does then affect what we can call our beingness. The saying about we are human beings, but we often get caught up in being a human doing. Not coming back to just that quality of being. What does it mean to be or to not be, to be or not to be? That is the question. But that sense of even beingness, more of a heart disposition, more of a something that's beyond just an activity that we might do. A sense of like more of an expression of the whole of us, my beingness, which could be then, that sense of calmness and clarity and presence of mind and so forth, which certainly meditation helps to develop, helps to enhance, even just the practice of being still, being aware, being present, being observant, being alert, being discerning. So there's a flow on from then the meditation into our activities in daily life. And one of the things that we can maybe take up as a way of being that is on the title of this book, which I pulled off my shelf, Being Dharma. Being Dharma. This is a photograph of Ajahn Chah, who was my teacher in Thailand. Seeing one photograph just there. But this is a collection of his teachings. He didn't write them, he spoke them, and they were recorded and then written down. So Being Dharma, the Essence of the Buddha's Teachings by Ajahn Chah, forwarded by Jack Kornfield. And so I remember that I had this book, so I pulled it off the shelf, and I've got written in here, May 2002, nearly 24 years ago. I can't remember what's in it. Mainly because, well, that's a long time ago, 24 years ago, nearly quarter of a century, but it's teachings, Ajahn Chah's teachings and so forth, which I'm very, very aware of. I can't remember specific teachings, but they're teachings that are probably in a number of the books that I have of his. But just reading the title, Being Dharma, that says it all. That's enough. Probably the whole book is really about being Dharma. So what does Dharma mean then? And particularly, this is one spelling of Dharma, the Dharma, D-H-A-R-M-A, which is the Sanskrit rendering of the word, the Pali, ancient Indian language Pali, otherwise Sanskrit, would have that spelled with a double M, Dhamma, and Sanskrit is Dharma. There's often a very similar words like karma, in Pali, karama, in Sanskrit, santi, in Pali for peace, shanti, in Sanskrit for peace. Similar languages. But being Dharma So what is Dharma? And there's two ways in which Dharma is particularly used. If it has a small d, then it means phenomena, it means things. So we could say Sabbe Dhamma Anatta, all phenomena are not an intrinsic self. They're all phenomena, Dharma with a small d. But then when we have Dharma with a capital D, it's more specifically related to the Buddha's teachings. So not just teachings about things, phenomena, but the truth of things, the law of things, the way of things. So the Buddha taught the Dhamma, the Buddha taught the way of things. Even the Dharma with the capital D is one of the trinities in Buddhism. So we have the triple gem, the Buddhist Trinity. When people maybe come to a shrine or temple meditation hall, they may bow 3 times, seemingly to the Buddha image, but what they're bowing to is the Buddhist Trinity, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. So bowing to the Buddha, I pay respects, homage to the Buddha, fully enlightened one, he who realized full spiritual enlightenment by himself through his own efforts, without relying on any other teachings. There's no teachings about enlightenment at that time. I bow to the Dharma, respect the Dharma, the Buddha's teachings, the teachings on truth, reality teachings. And I bow then to the Sangha, those that have practiced well, that have realized that truth as well, then the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So in being Dharma, what's the sense of that? Being truth, being the way of things, being the law of things. It's worth reflecting upon, because in a way we are being something. Our life is involved in being something, or rather, maybe being many things. Yes, being kind, being generous, being supportive, being happy, being well, being proactive, being whatever, but is there more of a fundamental underlying being or beingness that we're operating from? Something that's more intrinsic. And that's where the idea of being Dharma, being truth comes in, as opposed to being ego, being sort of caught up in self. I'm being self-centered, I'm being selfish, I'm being self-interested. Yes, it's important to be self-nurturing, self-caring, self-supportive, but not in a sort of a ego-centered, egotistical type of way. And so the opposite would be aligning to truth, aligning to the way of things, aligning to the reality of things, which means that we're in accordance with how things are, aware of how things are, the true nature of things. The Buddha pointed out that another trinity, the true nature of things has 3 characteristics: sabbe sankhara anicca, or sabbe dhamma anicca. So all phenomena, all manifestations are impermanent. They don't last, they change. Sometimes they take a long time to change, sometimes they change very quickly. But the truth of things is that all things do change. They're subject to cause and effect, and they change. Sabbe sankhara dukkha. So all things are subject to disappointment, dissatisfaction, unsatisfactoriness, stress, suffering, because often they change. Pleasant experience, but it doesn't last. Or the senses through which I experience it don't last. Or I just get tired of it. I'm bored with that now. So all things have that inherent potential for being unsatisfying or unsatisfactory, or a source of disappointment or distress. Third truth of things, sabbe sankhara, or sabbe dhamma, phenomena, anatta. There's no permanent self to be found in anything, because everything's changing. Am I my thoughts? Well, they change pretty quickly. Am I my mental states? Well, they can change quickly as well. Am I my feelings, my emotions, my mood, my body? The body disposition can change. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm sick, I'm not feeling so well, etc. So that aligning to those truths, we're living in accordance with how things are, as opposed to the opposite. In this, things last forever. Don't worry, things are going to last forever. Well, sorry, sadly they won't. Everything is totally satisfying. This will make you ultimately happy. Probably it'll make you happy for a little while, or even for a longer while, but either it will change and we'll be unhappy with it, or we'll change, I'm bored with it, or we even die. So that's a fact. And the fact is that, okay, well, everything is me. Everything is mine, everything is me. Is that correct? Well, I am my age, and I am my thoughts, and I am my feelings, and I am my mood, and I am my body. And we know that we don't have that much control. If I was the master of those things, and I said, okay, I'm going to be young forever. I'm going to have my lovely blonde hair forever. I'm going to always be able to sit in meditation. My mind is just very, very present forever. But these things, they don't actually belong to me. They have their own nature. So it's about aligning to the reality and the truth of things, being Dharma, that then helps us to reduce stress and suffering. You could say that stress and suffering happens because we're not aligning to the way of things. Either not aware of the way of things, not aligned to it. We're getting then caught up in clinging or condemning, reacting or resisting, denying or distracting from what is. And that becomes then a source of stress and suffering. So that you'd even then say our degree of happiness and well-being, sense of ease, even a sense of peace, joy, contentment is contingent upon and measured upon our degree of alignment to being Dharma, being the way of things, being the truth of things. And certainly our meditation practice is helping us to come back into that, because in meditation, we're taking a break from thinking. Most of our thoughts are about ourselves or related to ourselves. What am I doing tomorrow? I want to help those people out. I want to go there. That's important. I need to get that fixed up. So to do with self, stress. So if in meditation, we're simply just aware, there is just awarenessing in the present moment, being aware, not I am aware, but just there is awarenessing in the present moment. There is conscious clarity. There is knowingness, not I am knowing and I am doing this and I am getting calms. Taking the I out of it, there's just that sense of beingness. And that's a break for the mind from running the program of self all the time, the selfing program, which at times is helpful to have a reference point to come from. I am enjoying this, or I will do more of this, or that happened to me yesterday, as a reference point to consider, maybe I did that yesterday, will I do the same thing today? But also good to take that break to come back to just being aware. Being aware in the present moment, being that sense of presence, truth. And even the possibility of that beingness with others as well. So rather like in relationship, we're always relating. Sometimes we don't need to relate. It's just a sense of just being present. As in like meditation, we're just being present. We're not particularly relating to each other, conversing, communicating, but a sense of presence. And that becomes a sort of a shared experience. Powerful. And again, it reminds us maybe of the truth. So behind the thinking, behind the selfing, there is this quality of being, of beingness that can align to the reality and the truth of things, which is the Buddha Dharma, the Buddha's teachings. And the Buddha didn't create these teachings. They're not a view or an opinion. They're just the Buddha just pointed out, this is the way of things. This is just how things are, which you can see for yourself. And that's the beauty of the Buddha's teachings, that they transcend time and place and customs and culture, age and gender. They're just pointing out the way of things, pointing to Dhamma. There's a lovely story where the Buddha went to visit a monk that was sick. The monk was quite sick. He probably had some type of fever, maybe forest fever. And the Buddha went to see him and inquired after him. And the monk said that he wasn't actually getting much better, which was not good. And that also he was upset that he wasn't able to come out to listen to the Buddha's teachings. And the Buddha said, if you see the truth of things, then you see me. And if you actually see me, you are just seeing the truth of things. I am just the manifestation, the embodiment of the Dharma, the truth of things. So the actual statement was, those that see me, see the Dharma. Those that see the Dharma, see me. And so now for us, it's now nearly 2,600 years since the Buddha died, but we can still see the Buddha, because the Buddha was just the embodiment, the expression of the way of things, the Dharma, the truth. So we can see, and even in a sense be that truth as well. Hence being Dharma. That's the teaching. Perennial, timeless, akaliko, beyond time, to be seen here and now by oneself. That's the possibility. So give that some consideration. Now, what are we spending our time and energy being, and how much time gets caught up in doing? Can we come back to being? Particularly meditation as a practice of allowing the being, the beingness, being present, being aware, being still, and then also enabling that quality of beingness to flow on into the doings or the activity of our daily life, and particularly the idea of being Dharma, being the truth, being the way of things. Any thoughts or considerations yourself around these ideas?
It's pretty hard, I think, to keep consistently, like, when you're in your daily routine. Find it hard to just.
That's the practice.
Yeah.
I think maybe the more mindful we are, so we're being mindful and not so caught up in even though we're doing, but where our activities and doingness is a flow on from our quality of being. I'm being mindful of while I'm doing this. I can even do it quite quickly. So I'm not caught up in self coming in, self-doubt or self-frustration, or why am I doing this, or why do I have to do this task, and why can't they do it, and whatever that might be, which is always about self. That's where the suffering comes in. And the more there is that engagement of the mind into the beingness, the flow, then there's a sense of peace and a sense of joy, a sense of alignment, a sense of things working. There's less freighting, less sort of imbalance, less stress, flow. Whatever it might be that one's doing, there's a sense of just the flow, alignment.
Flow, find giving myself time and not buying into everything that's going on around me gives me time to be curious and discerning and how I'm going to spend that energy, and knowing everything basically is transient, and it's good, because if it wasn't transient and I say to myself it was miserable, it'd be miserable forever, because it's not transient. So I allow things just to be as is. It's helped me with my pain management and everything.
Good, good.
Just more peaceful and not running away from the pain, but being curious about the pain. I notice my body starts to relax more.
Yep, yep. Well, particularly with pain, the sense of rather than being at the pain, I'm someone that's at the pain, annoyed with the pain, trying to get rid of the pain, but more like there is just a being aware of the pain, which even takes away the self out of it. There's just a being aware of the sensation.
That's what I found, that knowing that sensation and feeling it, I just find my body is more relaxed by doing that.
Yep,
I'm not
sure.
fighting it anymore.
Good, good. And giving ourselves time to relax a bit more and flow with things, and which maybe even causes us to save time, because often we waste time having to do things again because we didn't do them properly, or mistakes happen, and the sense of just relaxing in, slowing down a bit, and maybe even seeing what is really necessary. Sometimes there's things don't need to be done, or they can be done later. More ease and flow, quality of being with ease and flow into being alive. So are we doing life, or we're being life, being alive, doing alive? Often language sort of messes us up, because we get caught up in certain words and language that creates a whole sort of structure and story. And if we inquire or even reflect upon how we're using words, and that they can then actually manifest more as sort of an embodiment of doing things a bit differently.
Actually, what you said is really true. I've changed my self-talk, and even the words that are really black and white and harsh, good and bad, I've taken and replaced them with being pleasant, unpleasant, being more kind and gentle. Makes the world a lot different than what it was like.
Yeah. Even not sort of polarizing things into they're good or bad or so forth, but more just, okay, this is how it is.
Yeah.
In the sense of just responding to this in a mindful, wise, discerning, caring way.
Less reactive, more responsive.
Yeah, well, again, when the mind is less caught into the selfing activity, the doing of selfing, then there's more of the being Dharma, and therefore there's less of the clinging and condemning and reacting, resisting, denying, distracting, which is all basically to do with self.
Is leading with Dharma, would it be leading with the heart? Is that?
It depends upon how you describe the heart, because it might be that my heart says to go with it, do it, yeah, have it, you deserve it. And more like that's more sort of passion, which may be a difference from, say, I think that no, I shouldn't do it, it's not right, and but my heart says yes, my heart's into this, and that more the spiritual heart that sort of is aligns to truth, what the Buddhism would be called the citta, which is more the mind heart, not the emotional heart, and not the mental mind, but more the sort of that quality of knowingness. So if you ask yourself, so why am I meditating? Say, well, I'm developing the quality of my being, the quality of my beingness, or heartfulness that in terms of being able to be aligned to truth, being Dharma, that can then reduce the reactiveness and stress that comes from just operating out of self, and enable more peace and presence. Good reason to practice meditation. So as I said earlier, next Thursday, I did say last week that next Thursday we have Ajahn Medino here, but he's arrived in Australia a couple of days later than he thought, so he won't be here until the Friday. So he won't be sitting here next Thursday, but we'll be here for the Sunday meditation day. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday, the 29th. But plenty of space on that, so if you can come along. The whole session's from 9:30 till 2, but if you can only make the morning, that's fine as well. Those are you that can come for the whole day, bring a plate of food to share, or have a shared lunch, and finish up at 2 o'clock, which is 1 o'clock Queensland time. So he hasn't been here before, so a special occasion to have him here. I was with him, we were monks together in Thailand 35 odd years ago. So I haven't seen him since then, so it's nice to be able to see him and catch up with him again. Thanks for coming out tonight, and see you next time.
Thank you.